So I was talking to a friend the other day when he brought up this idea of his of wanting to keep track of his daily routines, especially the things that would affect his health. For example, when he woke up, when he went to sleep, when he had his meals, when he went for exercise, stuff like that. He was asking me if I knew of any app that could help him keep track of all of these things, and I unfortunately didn't know of any such app. However, his requirements seemed simple enough that I thought probably Google Sheets with just a simple Google app script could get the job done. One thing led to the other, and I ended up writing the app for him. So this is what I came up with. A simple web page with a bunch of buttons. The idea is simple. Whenever you start an activity, you press the button for that activity. So let's say I just now decide to go for exercise at 7:58. I just tap exercise and that gets updated in the Google Sheet. So if I go back to the Google Sheet, at 7:58 there should be an entry for exercise. And that's the idea. Whenever you start an activity, you can press that button and it gets updated in the Google Sheet. Let's say you have an activity that you rarely do, so you do not want a button for it, but it's important enough that you would want it in your event log. For that, I added a custom text field. Here you could put something that you would normally not do. For example, I could mention stepped out, in case you are a nerd with antisocial tendencies, and I can just press send. And now stepped out should reflect in the Google Sheet. Wait for a few seconds. Yep, there it is. At 7:49, we stepped out. Now, let's say you don't want these buttons, you want to keep track of something else. What I've done is I've added another sheet called the button list. And here you can add extra buttons. So let's say I want to add one more button for, say, yoga. I don't know why I'm mentioning yoga, but I mean, that's the only thing I can think of right now. So let's say I add yoga. Now the next time when I reload this page, so let's reload it, I should have another button for yoga. So if I press yoga, it should update yoga at 8:01. Let's see if it worked. I go back to the sheets, go to event log, and yeah, you've got at 8:01 we've got yoga. Now if you're still watching this video, I think it is safe for me to assume that you would like to know how to make one. So let me show you how you could make your own web app for yourself. Okay, now I'm going to start by assuming that you already have a Gmail account and you already know how to create a new Google Sheet. So in this workbook, there are two sheets, that's sheet 1 and sheet 2. In sheet 1, we are going to put the columns for our event log, which is timestamp. And the next one is going to be the activity. And in sheet 2, we're going to put buttons. I'm going to rename sheet 1 as event log. And this is pretty specific. If you want to name it something else, you'll have to make changes in the script that we will paste next. So make sure this naming is correct. This is the name that the script is going to use to fetch and put data. So button list. Now next step is to create the Google script. So we go to extensions, we go to apps script, and it should load a new app script. Now previously when I was trying this out, it started throwing some error, and I noticed that my accounts were different. The account that I had logged in to this browser, that was different from the account I was using for the Google Sheets. Make sure that is the same. All right, I'm going to name this project Life Logger. Oh, and by the way, I've named the sheet the same as well. Here you have this function, my function already written. We get rid of this. We are currently editing the file code.js. So next step would be to go to my GitHub repository. I've added this these two files. One is code.js file, the other one is index.html. We go to code.js. I am going to copy all of this and paste it as is. we need the HTML file as well. So I'm going to go to files. We click on this add a file. Here I'm going to name it index.html. Oh, I don't think .html is needed. Just index is fine. Yeah, and we have a new index.html file. I'll select all and get rid of all of this. Go back to my repository. Go to index.html. Copy all of it and paste. All we need to do next is I have to save it, and now I can deploy it. I go to deploy, new deployment, and we first have to select the type of deployment. I am gonna go with the web app. In the description I'll put life logger. The web app, the person executing is myself. Who has access? Only myself. That's fine. I deploy it, and I need to authorize access. So here basically I am allowing the Google script to make changes in this Google Sheet on my behalf. So I will continue with this account. Make sure this account and the account for the Google Sheet is the same. It'll throw this alert, but we go to advanced, and we'll go to life logger unsafe, and here I have to click allow. All right, so now we have deployed this thing. I can now copy this. I'm going to click done, and I can paste it in a new tab. This is my URL. If I hit enter, it should serve. So you've got life logger, you've got custom text, but you'll notice there are no buttons. Well, because we didn't add any buttons in our button list. Let's now add a few buttons. So let's say I want a button for wake up. I'll add one for exercise. Let's add breakfast. Let's add lunch, dinner, and then sleep. Now, no need to save it because all of this gets auto saved. All I have to do is I have to reload this page. And now when it reloads, it should show me the buttons I've added. Now, if I click on wake up, it should update my Google Sheet. Let's see if it updated it. Let's go to event log, and yeah, it's working. Let's try some custom text. Testing. Okay, enter won't work. I have to press send. Log updated. Let's go back. Yeah, I can see testing. All right, now let me give you a quick overview of how this thing works. So in this code.js script, we've got two different functions. One is the doGet function, and the other one is the add record function. The doGet function is invoked when you send a GET request. Now what that means is whenever you put a URL in the web browser and hit enter, you are basically sending a GET request to the server, and the server responds by sending back an HTML page which can be shown on your web browser. And that's what is happening here as well. Whenever this script receives a GET request, this doGet function is invoked, and it prepares the index.html file to be sent to the client. We don't just want to send this HTML file, we also need the buttons from the button list that are in our Google Sheet. So what it does next is it connects to the button list sheet, gets all the different buttons, and compiles them into a single string separated by commas. That is then put in the HTML file, and then the function ends by returning this HTML output. Next, what is this for? Well, basically all this function does is if you send it an activity, it will update the event log sheet with that activity, and also it will note down the current timestamp. So when is this function being called? Well, if we go to the index.html page and scroll down to scripts. Now in scripts, this is where we are creating all the buttons from the button list, and each button gets this on click listener. So when the button is clicked, the value of the button, which in case of the exercise button, it will be exercise, it will be passed onto this postfunc function. This is the postfunc function, and here if you ignore the initial stuff, in the end we are calling the add record function that is there in code.js. So this add record and this add record is the same thing, and we are passing the value of the button there. So once add record is called, the add record will add the activity name and put a new timestamp on it. And that's basically it for a brief overview of how this thing works. Do let me know what you thought about this project in the comment section, and if you do plan to use it, let me know what do you plan to use it for. And yeah, thanks for watching.